Miss Marion Collins.
Good evening.
Carl Van Dorn.
How do you do?
Ellery Queen.
I'm Ellery.
I'm Queen.
And our genial master of literary ceremonies, that distinguished humorist and light versifier, Ogden Nash.
On behalf of our sponsor, welcome audience, seen and unseen, to the first broadcast of Author. Briefly put, Author is a game of story invention in which you'll be able to hear how America's most famous writers invent their story plots. Ellery Queen, whom you all know as collaborators on detective fiction, and I will be with the program from week to week. Two different guest authors will play the game with us each broadcast. And tonight's guests are Miss Marion Collins, radio and short story writer, and Carl Van Doren, distinguished critic and novelist whose recent biography of Benjamin Franklin is among America's best sellers. The game of Author begins with a little drama. It's called the $2,001 Watch. The scene is Spiffen's famous Fifth Avenue jewelry shop. As the store opens, the day's first customer, a shabbily dressed man, enters and speaks to Mr. Stillman, sales clerk.
Good morning. I'd like to see a watch.
Yes, of course. Any particular kind of watch?
No, any watch.
Very good, sir. Now here, sir, is a very fine platinum case jewel watch.
What's the price of it?
$2,000, sir.
I'll give you $1 for it.
$1?
That's what I said.
Excuse me, sir, but are you serious?
I offer you $1 for that watch, and I mean
Get
it.
out of here! Get out! Is this your idea of a joke? Why,
What's the commotion about?
Why, this man, Mr. Spiffin, has the nerve to offer me $1 for this $2,000 watch.
Very well. Sell the gentleman the watch for the $1. Our little drama has rather an unexpected ending, and that's where our four authors come in. Their part of the game now is to create extemporaneously a logical beginning to explain why a man should have the nerve to offer $1 for a $2,000 watch, and why the jeweler should have the geniality to accept it. To put it like a jacket blurb on a book, they've got to tell us what unusual tale of romance, sentiment, or intrigue lies behind this paradox of Spiffins. Their stories are unrehearsed. Don't mind if they stumble a bit. That's the idea of Author. Now, Miss Collins, Mr. Van Doren, who'd like to take a shot at that?
Oh, don't pick on me for the first one. I think one of the queens should go first.
Right, well, Queen first by all means.
Well, I think Ellery should come first. Ellery comes before Queen.
Well, that may be true, but in the telephone book, Queen comes first.
Well,
Queen comes before the telephone book?
well, I'll yield to that authority. I suppose I'm on the spot here. As I see it, Mr. Spiffin, I'll have to start my story with Mr. Spiffin. Mr. Spiffin, in his off moments, at the times when he's not at his establishment, has a hobby. He doesn't play golf particularly, nor does he care terribly much for bridge or cultivating spring onions. He collects coins. He's one of those peculiar people that, like stamp collectors, for example, who collects coins. Now, he has developed a tremendous collection over the period of many years. Matter of fact, it's probably one of the greatest collections of rare coins in the world. Very expensive collection. And one thing has always been the bane of Mr. Spiffin's existence. He hasn't been able to get hold of a certain very rare coin. It's a $1 coin of American extraction. It's worth $5,000. He's been willing to pay almost any price for it, but he hasn't been able to find one. Well, now, when Mr. Spiffin came out to see what the commotion was about, he noticed that the dollar which the shabbily dressed man was offering to Mr. Stillman, the clerk, was not a bill, but a coin. And what was it but this very coin? Well, of course, he was going to...
At least that proves it can be done. Now we have an interlude known as the Are You Sure period. Comments and criticisms, insults, pro and con are invited on Mr. Queen's explanation.
I wonder if Mr. Queen himself is a coin collector. I wonder if he has the first dollar he ever made.
In fact, I never made a first dollar.
Well, it's easy to begin on the second, I suppose. But, are there any further... That was an insult, wasn't it? Any criticism?
I can only criticize the insult.
Well, then perhaps, Miss Collins, have you a reconstruction of this episode?
Well, I had a fairly simple one. I can visualize that a great many years ago, Mr. Sniffen possibly was an apprentice in a jewelry store and had an opportunity to buy a store. And no money, being a young man and poor and struggling, one thing or another. And he had an old friend whom he approached for the capital, which consisted of $2,000. He started in business with that and made the very distinguished jewelry shop known today as Sniffen's. And as he approached the clerk and this shabbily dressed man to see what the commotion was about, he recognized the old friend who had advanced him the money for the opening of his business, whom he had forgotten all over these years and had repudiated the loan. And he felt that he would be justified in accepting the dollar for the watch in as much as the $2,000 would mean the discrepancy between there would be the $2,000 he had borrowed.
Was that...
Mr. Nash.
I suppose it would apply to Spiffins as well as to Sniffins.
Mr. Nash,
Yes, Mr. Ellery.
I'd like to quarrel with the ethics of Mr. Sniffen or Sniffen as
Let's compromise on Sniffen, shall we?
He owed this man $2,000 for a long time, but that watch didn't cost him $2,000.
I have been wondering about that.
At best, it cost him $1,000. He rather got out of it easily, didn't he?
Well, I think
never did have an
government's
extra
doing the same thing these days.
I think the man was just having his conscience fun.
Personally, I think the man was very lucky to get the watch. Mr. Van Doren, would you like to take a try at this?
Well, I shall have to bring in the deep tragic note. I figure that Mr. Spiffin lived in Mahwah, New Jersey. And 3 days before, his only heir had been kidnapped. Since that time, he had been getting a daily letter. He always found it lying on the sidewalk when he left his house. The first day it had said, "Watch the shabby customer." And the second day it mysteriously said $2,000. And the third day it had said nothing at all. He was very much embarrassed. Now, he was actually hanging around in the store all the time because he watched every customer that came in. But when this customer came in, and when he offered $1 for the $2,000 watch, Mr. Spiffin, listening for a while, became convinced that this was a shabby customer. This was the $2,000. And the way for him to communicate his willingness to pay whatever ransom or to deal with the kidnappers was to give in now and say that he would take $1 for the $2,000 watch.
A very ingenious and I should think foolproof explanation.
That's quite foolproof.
That's not quite.
I yield to you, Mr. Queen.
Well, I was just about to say before you were going to put your annoying voice into the microphone because, I mean, you and I never...
I didn't give a story. You shouldn't heckle me.
Well, I was just about to say that we ought to look to our laurels. Mr. Van Doren, who's never, to my knowledge, done a detective story, has just reconstructed one very beautifully, and in a minute and a half.
Yes.
But you forget that I have read all the Queen's detective stories.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Well, I had
I
something to say, Mr. Nash. Mr. Van Doren spoke of the third note as saying nothing at all. How did he know it was a third note if it said nothing at all?
An invisible ink, wasn't it?
I meant to say the third day he'd got no note at all.
Well, I think you got out of that very neatly, sir. Mr. Ellery,
Well, I wonder if there is a fourth solution anywhere. I visualize Mr. Spiffin as having a friend who was very fond of making ridiculous bets. The previous night, after a game of chess in Mr. Spiffin's home, his friend suggested a bet, something along these lines. He bet Mr. Spiffin $2,000 that the next morning he wouldn't okay the very first transaction that would take place in the Spiffin jewelry store. Mr. Spiffin, to humor his friend, agreed to accept the bet, and early the next morning, the friend hired the shabby man for a few dollars to go in and offer $1 for a $2,000 watch. Now, Mr. Spiffin found himself in a rather peculiar position. If he refused to sell the $2,000 watch for $1, he would have to pay the $2,000 bet to his friend, and therefore be out $2,000. However, if he accepted the $1 for the $2,000 watch, he would not have to pay the $2,000, and would actually be $1 ahead on the transaction. And I haven't brought in sales tax because that might make it complicated.
Well, I think he could have had it sent out of the state, couldn't he, to avoid the sales tax?
You picked me up on the wholesale business.
Yes, I know. About the original price of that watch. And now, to continue author with another story problem. The extraordinary bequest. Scene, a lawyer's office. Mr. Chalmers, the attorney, is reading a will to John Sutton.
Item, to my friend John Sutton, I, William Black, give and bequeath my entire estate, or the envelope herewith attached to my last will and testament.
What's that? His entire estate or an envelope?
Yes, that's right. Here's the envelope.
But it's empty. There's nothing in it. The estate's worth, easily $10,000.
Yes, Black was a queer one. No telling what he had in mind. Oh, but perhaps it was only a joke. You'll take the estate, of course, seeing that you're not well off, that is, financially speaking.
Mr. Chalmers, I'm a poor man, and William Black knew it. $10,000 would mean everything in the world to me. Nevertheless, I'll take the empty envelope.
An extraordinary bequest indeed. Authors, why did John Sutton, a poor man, refuse a $10,000 bequest in order to accept an empty envelope?
Well, who goes first here?
Well,
That's me. I pass.
I think, shall we let Miss Collins start first?
I was afraid
women
of
and
that.
children first. I think the theory being the first lifeboat out is the one that sinks.
And here I think. All right, I'm going to tell you the story as I imagine Mr. Sutton might have told it to the lawyer sitting there across from his desk. I've known Mr. Black for many years. We've been associated in business. I worked for Mr. Black for many years, upwards of 15 years. And he's a very mean man. I never liked him. And about 10 years ago, a niece of his came to live with him, keep house for him. Her mother and father had died. She had no money, and he came there and used her as a drudge. She took care of his house, clothes, and he never gave her any money. Was really a very, very mean person. And I couldn't say very much. I worked for the man, but every once in a while I'd put in a word of protest against his treatment of the girl. And he would ignore me, of course. And then the years have gone by. I knew when he was dying that the girl was his only heir. And I think this is a pretty grim jest. Black has made it possible for me to take this money and enjoy life for the rest of my life, or give it to the girl who really should have it. And he made me make the choice between the two.
Well, I think that's very interesting indeed. I'm so glad Mr. Black is dead. Are there any holes that we can poke in that?
It would be a shame to poke a hole in a story like that.
Thank you.
We'd always put Mr. Black in it, of course. Mr. Van Doren, have you a suggestion?
Well, nothing with that high romantic note. As I see it, these two men, Mr. Black and Mr. Sutton, had been rival autograph collectors. Mr. Black, who left with the estate, had been more successful, and he had been able to reduce the legatee, Sutton, almost to poverty. So that when he died, he felt a little bit sorry, and he decided he would leave him something, but he wouldn't leave him something unless he were expert enough to know the value of it. You didn't notice the business in the story, which was that when Sutton took the envelope and said $10,000 would mean everything in the world to me, he turned it over, and he noticed something written on the back of it. Now, he knew a man, a potato baron, up in Aroostook County, Maine, who had been spending years making a complete collection of the autographs of all of the select men of all of the town in that place. He had, as a matter of fact, every single autograph of every single selectman of every town in Aroostook, Maine, except the autograph of Ezekiel Hiram Pratt. And this was, on the back there was only H. Pratt, and he wouldn't have known that, except that on the front it was addressed to Chester A. Arthur, President of the United States. Now, Mr. Sutton, being an expert, knew that at one of his more frugal moments, Hezekiah Hiram Pratt had written a letter to Chester A. Arthur asking him to use his influence to get Pratt's son a position in West Point.
I think that throws a very interesting light on the life of Chester A. Arthur.
It's amazing that Mr. Van Doren didn't use an autograph of Benjamin Franklin.
Yes. Well, I think it was very self-effacing of him when they...
Well, I think there's a reason probably why he didn't. Did they have envelopes in Benjamin Franklin's day, Mr. Van Doren? No, they didn't have. They simply folded the paper up, but I wouldn't have minded that.
Well, Mr. Ellery, have you...
Well, I visualize Mr. Sutton as being the nephew of Mr. Black, in fact, his only relative. And being his only relative, for a long time, Mr. Sutton has been expecting to be Mr. Black's heir. Mr. Sutton, however, is a ne'er-do-well, a waster, a man who has a passion for gambling, and he's himself into serious financial difficulties. Of course, he could wait for Mr. Black to die a normal death, but he decides that if he could speed things up, it would help his own particular position. So he invented a rather clever ruse to help to speed up that legacy. You see, Mr. Black made his modest fortune in the stationery business. He manufactured envelopes, letter paper, and so on. And one day, pretending to turn over a new leaf, Mr. Sutton came to his uncle, Mr. Black, and said that he had just made a remarkable discovery. He had invented a glue that didn't taste like glue, in fact, could be flavored. And if put on the backs of envelopes, people could get mince-flavored wax, clove-flavored wax, and so on. So he sent as a sample to Mr. Black one in Mr. Black's own particular, his favorite flavor, pistachio. Now, Mr. Black used to spend his weekends in a hunting shack in the woods, all alone with no telephone. And one weekend, as he was trying his nephew's envelope, he realized to his horror that the flap wasn't pistachio flavored, but was coated with nicotine. And, of course, he was poisoned. And in leaving, in the few minutes before he died, he left instructions to Mr. Chalmers, the lawyer, to let Mr. Sutton take either the estate or the envelope, which represented the only evidence against the nephew that he was involved in Mr. Black's death.
I think that's so ingenious that we can hardly ask any questions of Mr. Ellery at all.
I could heckle myself.
Well, don't write me any letters.
That takes care of our author's part in the game of author-author.
There's also excuse me, haven't I been left out?
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Oh, that's perfectly all right. I'm perfectly willing to be left out.
No. I'd hardly call it a minor oversight.
No. It's quite right.
I'd like to hear your approach to this.
Well, as a matter of fact, it's hardly good enough to be dignified by an approach. I merely visualized John Sutton as a pacifist. Now, you might ask what pacifism has to do with the rejection of a $10,000 bequest, the acceptance of an empty envelope. Well, he recognized the fact that on this envelope was written in invisible ink the formula. I forgot to tell you, incidentally, that John Sutton was a chemist. The formula of a new and powerful poison gas which would decimate, I won't use the word decimate, Mr. Van Doren, that's a bad word, which would depopulate the world. And now he had a tough decision to make. If he took the envelope, he would, of course, take it merely for one purpose, to destroy it, because he was a pacifist. He didn't want to see a new weapon like this given to the world. On the other hand, if he left the envelope and took the $10,000 bequest, he would be leaving that thing to the world, and so, being the true idealist, he simply refused the $10,000 and took the envelope.
idea.
I'm glad you didn't use that detonate. That means only 1 out of 10.
I know, I recognize that. Well, we're doing better than that nowadays, I think. Well, that seems to take care of our author's part in the game of author-author. There's also a very interesting and profitable part which our audience is invited to play, and here's Mr. Lawrence to tell you about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2-story problems we gave our authors tonight, we made up. But we'd like you, our audience, to make up the ones we use next week and every week thereafter for cash prizes. Send your story problem, as many as you wish. Each problem should consist merely of the surprise ending of a story, along the lines of what you heard tonight. Now, don't dramatize your story. We'll do that. All you have to do is write in a short paragraph, in as few words as you wish, the surprise ending of a story. You don't have to figure out the beginning. That's the job of our authors. Make the endings of your story problem as hard to explain as you can. Each one accepted by us and used on this program will receive $25. And here's what we'll do with the story. We'll give it to our authors and have them create the beginning right here in the studio. So come on now, listeners. Here's your chance to win $25 or more and put America's most famous authors to the test. There are no strings attached to this offer. Anyone can enter. Send us as many story problems as you wish. Send them to Author, care of the B.F. Goodrich Rubber Company, Akron, Ohio.
Just a moment, Mr. Lawrence.
Yes?
We're not finished yet. We'd like to have a friendly little chat with Mr. Nash.
Yes, Ellery, what is it?
Well, you've been having a fine time listening to us struggle with inventing story plots, and I mean struggle.
I've never seen so many distinguished people quite so uncomfortable.
All right, Mr. Nash, let's see how good you are at inventing stories.
Oh,
Miss
no.
Collins, Mr. Van Doren, Queen, and I will give you a story problem. Let's hear you some.
Nothing was said about that when I came here.
And Mr. Nash, the audience will do the heckling this time. They'll let you know what they think of your story. How about it, audience? Right. No excuses now. Here we go. A centipede.
A spot.
An airplane.
The London Zoo.
Oh, dear. Let's see. Centipede, a spot.
Well, there it is, Mr. Nash. Make a story out of that.
I do not like the centipede. A bug we do not really need. You always whack him where he's not. For if he is, he leaves a spot.
Mr. Nash. Where's the airplane?
Ellery.
How about my zoo?
It was in the zoo, and we take the airplane to get out of this spot. I'm glad to be out of that. Good night.
Good night.
Listen in this same time next week for more fun with the authors. Ellery Queen will be with us. Carl Van Doren probably be here, and Ogden Nash will be our genial master of literary ceremonies. Our guest authors will be Fanny Hurst and John Erskine. And don't forget to send your story problems to Author, care of the B.F. Goodrich Rubber Company, Akron, Ohio. Each one selected and used on this program will receive $25, and the name of the person submitting it will be mentioned. Naturally, no story problems can be returned, and all submissions, whether used or not, become the property of the B.F. Goodrich Rubber Company. You'll know you're in for another fiction fun fest when you hear them call for Author!